Need high-quality video to promote your event, business, or band? We can help.
We're Pixel Pond, a video production team based in the Pacific Northwest, providing high-quality content to clients across the U.S. and Canada.
Whether you want coverage of your live event to promote for next year, or need a camera and a camera operator for your next big project, we can accommodate projects of all sizes.
Your story is important. Visit pixelpondllc.com or send an email to info@pixelpondllc.com to get started today. We can't wait to work with you.
Parental warning. This podcast contains references to alcohol use and jokes about very small dinglings. Actually, we're pretty well behaved this week. It's a little concerning. Please podcast responsibly.
This time on Gamers Week podcast. Hey, are you made of money? Microsoft sure seems to think so. Today, the company has announced another Xbox Game Pass price hike. This announcement comes on the heels of Microsoft revealing the prices for its new Xbox Ally handheld gaming consoles. The ROG Xbox Ally X will cost $1,000.
So are you guys buying this $1,000 Xbox Ally?
No.
No.
I know.
I already have a $1,000 PC. What? I don't need the...
Right.
Yeah.
It like exists in this middle ground where you have so much money that you don't want a console, even though they're now $650. But you don't quite have enough money for a fancy PC.
So you're now in the middle.
And if that's your niche right there, well, then have I got the handheld for you.
Do I want to pay way more for a Steam Deck than I need to? I've got the thing for you.
Yeah. So, Donnie, let's say you're going to get dressed up and you need to put on nice pants.
I know where this is going.
What would you call said nice pants? What name would you give them?
Well, it depends on if they were actual khakis, then they would just be khakis if they were khaki colored. But if they're
a step up from khakis.
Slacks or dress pants.
Thank you. Slacks.
What was
Ryan and I were having this discussion earlier.
Next, gonna wear a pair of slacks. And I was like, what are you, my grandmother?
Are those new slacks?
What's wrong with the word slacks?
It's just an older word, you know, like trousers is an older word. I actually had to look up because you asked me what I would call them. So I was like, old words for pants.
Now, if Blue would have been like, oh, he's going to be putting on a pair of trousers.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably more applicable, but I don't really know what else to call them except for slacks or dress pants.
Dress pants. Dress pants are normal. Mm-hmm. That's like, but I think if you were born before World War II, you probably generally refer to them as slacks.
Or trousers.
Yeah. I'm a slacks guy, so.
A nice pair of slacks.
Well, they don't call them slack snake. It's a trouser snake. For dress pants. Okay, so dress pants are also called suit trousers, slacks, or simply dress trousers.
Dress trousers.
Yeah,
you've got your casual Monday through Friday trousers, and then you've got your dress trousers.
I've got all my teeth, and they're in decent condition, so I'm not going to call them trousers at all.
I'm currently sitting on a Davenport, I think.
What?
You never heard of a couch referred to as a Davenport?
Well, I remember my grandmother using the term, and I honestly think until this day, I never knew what she was talking about. You just like activated some deep, dark memory. I was like, oh my God, yeah.
If you heard the way she pronounced grandmother, my grandmother,
grandmama,
grandmama.
I assume Davenport must have been like a brand name or something.
Possibly, yeah.
Could you grab something from my bureau?
Mm-hmm. There was the
The
bureau.
chest
There was
of
the
drawers.
ottoman. There was another one, and I'm trying to remember.
Credenza.
Credenza.
The credenza.
Just all these weird names for furniture that you're like, I don't know. Will you grab the thing out of the credenza? I'm like, sure. Which one is that?
Fetch me my trousers from the credenza. All right, let's go ahead and start the show. Welcome to Gamers Week Podcast. Like the name says, we analyze the best, worst, and weirdest headlines of the past week in the video game industry. This is episode 185, and today is Wednesday, October 1st, 2025. Yeah, you see that scrunchy face that she's making? Because she effed up.
I make the notes every week, and I'm not allowed a single typo, even though I got it right in the title.
Right, but as my brain is processing the words, but I'm reading the sentence, and I get to that, and I'm like, I don't mess up. Okay, I got to change it to 185 to make it seamless.
We're Ron Burgundy over here.
Yeah.
We're a team.
And
Ron
go F
Burgundy.
yourself, San Diego. My name is donniegretro, and I will be your host this evening. I am not alone. My first co-host has been told his leg will be used in the upcoming Christmas Story reboot as Ralphie's dad's statue. He's been practicing by standing in his own window at night with the blinds open. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Ryan Payne, a.k.a. retrogamebrews, to the show. Ooh, look at that. Look at that.
I look really good in fishnets too, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Toning, waxing, he's ready. Mm-hmm. He's taking this role very seriously.
What about a size 15 heel?
I don't know if they make those.
They totally do.
I'm sure
I guarantee it.
I'm sure they do. There are gargantuan men or even women.
And women.
Yeah.
That's a huge... No.
Who may be interested in such items.
And my second co-host was woken up at the stroke of midnight by Tim Curry removing his cape and flashing his garter belt on her phone, and then happily fell back asleep with a smile on her face. Gentlemen, welcome Blue, a.k.a. wrytersview. Blue, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's spoopy season, officially. It's October 1st, although most aficionados have been celebrating for the majority of September. Now it's October. Now we can let the spoopy flag fly, and we don't have to hide it anymore. And so, yes, I'm very excited.
With my swim team in the morning, I put in, it's now spoopy season, and people went, what's that? And I realized I'm the only one that's involved in internet culture at all.
You got to learn today.
All right. I was like, it's like spooky season, but more fun. Yeah.
Want to start your own podcast? Maybe about performing glizzy-inspired poetry? Know this, O devourer, and check thy demeanor, for the glizzy is eternal, and eternal is the wiener.
What an amazing rhyme.
Thank you. Thank you.
What? You'll need a place to host your show. Buzzsprout has a user-friendly interface, great analytics, and resources to help grow your audience. Use the link in the description to get a $20 credit when you sign up for a paid plan. For the glizzy is eternal. Okay, know this, no devourer, and check thy demeanor. For the glizzy is eternal, and eternal is the wiener.
That's deep. That's really deep.
That's Shakespearean. So let's jump right into our reviews, reactions, and requests. Arcade Main says, being a slightly pedantic Star Trek nerd, the Four Lights is an episode where Picard is kidnapped by Cardassians, not the Kardashians.
Not with a K.
Not with a K. And interrogated by one in particular who tries to convince him through various means, including torture, that there are 5 lights, when there are in fact only 4. And Ryan, I think you said that he was Borg. Yeah. You got schooled, sucker.
Yeah, you got actually.
I will admit I'm not a Star Trek.
A Trekkie?
Yeah, I mean, I love Star Trek. Don't get me wrong. I just am not like the knowledge I have for like Lord of the Rings. It's I'm not an encyclopedia of Star Trek.
Newgad Gaming says, I was whelmed by the Wolverine gameplay trailer. Looks like Uncharted with claws and gore, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it feels okay. Not mind blown, but maybe that's because it has been forever since the announcement.
Funnily enough, he's not inspired by 5'2" Wolverine either.
Screen accurate. Yeah, screen accurate Wolverine.
But they're Canadian. You figure they would own Wolverine right? Because that's like that's their
It's one of their
national
own.
X-Men. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe to them, that's just normal Canadian behavior. So he's like,
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Slice, sorry. And last but not least, Retro Monster says, I am a gamer, a huge mark for Marvel who love the Spidey games, and a Canadian. I actually didn't watch the Wolverine gameplay trailer because I don't think my heart and wiener can take it. This is my GTA 6.
Simon says the game will be rated C for Canadian.
Oh man, a lot of wiener talk today too.
It's a word of the day.
Yeah, glizzy. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our patron shoutouts.
We couldn't do what we do without the help of our gorgeous patrons. Here are the generous folks supporting Gamers Week on Patreon. John Barron, Sassy Sony, Evo Lust, Cyrum, have a structured settlement or annuity and need cash now? Call your boy JG Wentworth at 877-CASH NOW. Mega Retroman, Gamatroid, Moradib, Michael. I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Lakite, Emo-esque, Bill Tucker, you know, the bleeps, the sweeps, and the crepes. Fruitcakes, I hate it when my Schwartz gets twisted. Pickled Pepper, Ducks with Six Eyes, absolutely the best podcast, a work in progress. Bops and Dognut, Blues Little Sis, Loudmoth, Retroblast Pat, B&T Zelda Guide, The Mad Milkman, Seven Castle Forest, Crunchy Gong, Snacks, The Handsome Chef, Frank Grande, Love Retro BTW, Steven Sand, Ramboski, Terry Kinnear, Don't Make Me Pull This Car Over, Games with Coffee, fucking loves Zelda 2, Hybrid Divide, You Fall Before Me, Davey PGH, The Pixel Pond Family, including Shannon and Luke, Zach, aka Old Cluster Nuts, Puzzle Butter, and number one Blue Sick Voice fan. If you like what you hear today, and we really hope you do, please consider joining us on Patreon. Your support helps cover the cost of producing the show, as well as other cool stuff we'll be doing, like prizes and giveaways. You'll also gain access to our bi-weekly patron-only bonus cast called Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits. Visit patreon.com/gamersweek or follow the link in the show notes to learn more.
Does anybody know what that quote is from?
It's a Hannibal Lecter, right?
Correct.
It's from Silence of the Lambs.
Hello, Clarice. I kind of figured we'd have a few more Commando quotes.
But it's spoopy season. We have to go to a spoopy movies.
Okay, that's true. All right. So maybe he's putting that on pause, and then after October, he'll come back and pick it right back up with more Commando quotes. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our headlines.
All right, this headline segment is proudly sponsored by Absolutely the Best Podcast, a work in progress. Each episode, George and Zach discuss and rank all the best things, starting with deep dives into every movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This week, they've got a trivia question for us. What year did production of licensed third-party Sega Master consoles stop? Visit them at absolutelythebest.net or follow the link in the show notes.
Sega Master System.
So I know the company out of Brazil, Tech Toys, they were making it well into the 2000s. It was actually, as I understand, like super popular in Brazil for quite a long time. So they were still producing the consoles. I think recently they've switched over to doing plug and plays for it. But like the OG console, I want to say was past 2008, 2009. So I'm going to gamble here, say 2012, 2013, maybe.
I think this is incorrect because as far as I'm aware of, no third-party system or no third-party company was ever licensed for the Master System.
Yeah, I'm talking
the Mega Drive. I know the Mega Drive by Tech Toys, that was made. But I didn't think the Master System was licensed for a third party.
I think Tech Toys was making them in Brazil. Yeah,
I don't really have an answer because I thought this was a mistake. I knew it was the Mega Drive or Genesis, but not the Master System. So I'm going to say, I'll say 2015.
2015.
For the record, my guess was 2000. But actually, Ryan, you were on the correct track because it was redacted.
Are you kidding
me?
No
kidding.
Wow.
We can always count on you to have the pedantic knowledge.
Like, is the what's the resale market for Master System games and Mega Drive games look like down in Brazil? Because if that's the case, I need to go down there and pick up a whole bunch of games.
I mean,
Absolutely.
in theory, you could say that are they still making games for the Master System if they're still making consoles?
Yeah, a huge like homebrew scene down there or something.
I'd love to think that those games would make their way to the United States. Because really,
how many of us have a Master System?
I do.
Okay, well,
You're asking the wrong crowd.
Present Company is a bad example.
Yeah,
I don't. So,
I mean, who's got a Master? I've got two.
bunch of fucking nerds.
And proud of it.
Yeah, right.
All right, first up, Electronic Arts is being acquired for $55 billion by an investor consortium consisting of the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, or PIF, Silver Lake, and Affinity Partners. The all-cash transaction sees this collective absorb 100% of the publisher, effectively taking the company private. The transaction is the largest all-cash sponsor take-private investment in history, said to accelerate innovation and growth to build the future of entertainment, according to a press release. The deal is expected to close during Q1 of the 2027 fiscal year, pending customary regulatory approvals. Once the acquisition is complete, EA will stay headquartered in California and Andrew Wilson will remain CEO. The acquisition comes as EA gears up for the October 10 launch of Battlefield 6, which is shaping up to be its biggest release of the year. EA has built up a sizable collection under its portfolio, which includes the aforementioned Battlefield series, but also IPs such as Madden Football, The Sims, Dragon Age, Mass Effect, Dead Space, Need for Speed, Skate, Apex Legends, Titanfall, and EA Sports, just for starters. Studios like BioWare, Respawn, DICE, and more also operate under the EA banner. The deal sees the company saddled with roughly $20 billion of fresh debt, which is being used to help finance the leverage buyout. That debt's so fresh, yo. Analyst Michael Pachter estimates the firm will be on the hook for roughly $1 billion a year in service payments on that debt after the deal closes. That's definitely manageable for a company that brought in $5.92 billion in gross profit in the 2025 fiscal year. However, repaying that debt and maximizing profits for its new owners could force changes throughout the company. DFC Intelligence's David Cole added that the new debt could lead to an even more risk-averse version of EA that has a bigger focus on live services, more focus on annual sports franchises, and microtransactions. They are profitable and, most importantly, steady.
I kind of have mixed emotions about this.
Oh,
Like, EA is the representation of like everything that's wrong with the video game industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
yep.
Microtransactions, you name it, they are guilty of it. And then having it bought by a company that's an investment fund out of Saudi Arabia as well. I mean, that comes with a whole other set of problems, which I think we've discussed before on the podcast. So I don't know what to cheer for. Am I happy this is going through? Am I upset? I like I said, I have mixed emotions.
It's funny because online, like that's been the punchline the last several days was we never thought EA could get worse. And then they're like, hold my beer. But we had a similar discussion a couple months ago when news broke that Ubisoft was considering the same thing. They were considering selling out to Tencent, which would have made them a private company. But this is like a completely different beast here. You're right, with all the associated political implications with selling to a group that consists largely of the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, not to mention the other two groups, Silver Lake and Affinity Partners. And you think about just the sheer overwhelming number of rich assholes that are involved in this group and the kinds of things that they're going to do to the people underneath them to make sure that they get their investment back with profit on top. These are pure businessmen who don't give a fuck about games. It's just an asset. And they're going to do whatever it takes to be profitable, whether that is mass layoffs. The layoffs that EA has done before will look like child's play compared to what these guys are going to do. Also, there's expectation that they are going to replace a huge percentage of their workforce with AI and generative AI, which will lend itself pretty handily to this idea of microtransactions, sports franchises, like the kind of games that don't change much year to year, stuff them full of microtransactions, let the AI make them, profit. It's going to be ugly. And I got a feel for fans of these franchises that are listed, because there's some really big, really fun IP in here. Best case scenario, they sell off these IP to try to make some profit back, because the group has expressed interest primarily in the sports titles. So we can all cross our fingers and hope that they decide to sell off everything else into hands that will actually treat it right and let them focus on FIFA and stuff like that.
What do you think the odds are of, like, so I know like FIFA will probably, they'll grant licenses to them, but what are the odds of this happening? And you can't ignore the political aspect of it. Some of the leagues like the NFL, the NHL, the MLB, which EA doesn't make an MLB game anymore, but you look at NHL and NFL, what are the odds that those leagues don't grant EA a license anymore?
Because of the associations?
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, because you've still got the other two groups. You've still got the president's son-in-law. Those kind of connections and that kind of money talks.
Yeah. And unfortunately, for a group like the Saudi Arabia Investment Fund, who just has money coming out of their pores, not just their asshole, but their pores, money's nothing.
Tiken points out that EA couldn't even negotiate the rights to the name FIFA recently, so this $55 billion sale has to be considered a major negotiating win for them.
Right, because they're FC now, right? Not FIFA.
Right, that's right. I've forgotten about that because clearly I don't care about that franchise.
I got to be honest with you. I don't know if I would trust that they would sell off things like Mass Effect or Dead Space or The Sims. I just think that for them, at least, it would just be let's just cut our losses. Let's not bother with it,
Close the studios, all that kind of stuff. That's entirely possible. Mm-hmm. Entirely possible and likely. It's just kind of a fleeting hope that all those series are just suddenly not dead in the water.
Right. The other question I would have, as far as, since this is the public investment fund of Saudi Arabia, is there going to be any censorship for games, for things that we'll say the crown of Saudi Arabia does not want to be associated with, per se?
That has certainly been a large part of the discussion, in that that's probably why they're focusing on sports games, not only because they are steady sellers, always high sellers, but also there's nothing political really attached to them, not like the kind of stuff that you see in Mass Effect or Dragon Age or The Sims, the kind of social aspects in those games that are in direct opposition to what Saudi Arabia would consider their interests. So that is another possible nail in the coffin for those series.
Yeah, and I can see that's causing a hell of a problem with, they have total control. It's a private company now. Yep. They will have total control of everything that goes into these video games. And you pick up one of these games, and let's just say it has this content that you've known and loved, and it's nowhere to be found. Like, the elements just aren't there. It's straight AI crap, AI generated dialogue, AI generated story, everything. And it just feels flat, like a soda that's been sitting open for like 2 days.
And then they say, look, the new Sims sold like shit, so we'll just go ahead and just shutter that IP.
Yeah. And I think The Sims was groundbreaking.
Brown
because
gravy?
they allowed, it was brown gravy.
It was brown gravy.
All gravy, baby. It was groundbreaking in the sense that they allowed for like LGBTQI or relationships in there. I don't think that the public investment fund of Saudi Arabia is probably keen on that.
Probably not.
So if they ever come out with another Sims game, my guess is that that functionality or features will be missing. They don't publicly announce it. They just quietly release it without the option.
Yeah, because it's bad for business. They know that much, that it's bad for business. And so all of this is going to be real on the down low. Or they may just say, screw it, we're just going full on sports.
Yep.
You can have Skate, you can have Need for Speed, you can have Madden, but anything else, no, we don't do that.
And the best part is that means I'll never have to give them money again.
Were you giving them money anyways?
Things for like Mass Effect, sure. But I will admit, I was kind of trying to get into the 2025-2026 English Football League season. So I did buy FC 2025. It's really boring. I got to be honest.
I'm shocked to hear that.
Yeah, you bought a soccer game. Okay.
Games with Coffee says, I'm pretty sure that the moment they close these studios, we'll hold a mass funeral for them, and then we'll see indie studios resurrect them in some way under altered title.
Do you think that would work, though, because we know how litigious Nintendo is, what's to keep somebody like this Saudi Arabia group from going after an indie company that's like, oh, well, we're gonna pick up, quote unquote, where Mass Effect left off. It'll be Mass Effect. It just won't have the title. It won't have the same names, or maybe it does. I don't know. And they could end up saying, well, we're just going to sue you.
Games of Coffee says, so say hello to Blast Effect and Wyvern Zenith, aka Dragon Age. I was thinking like Catholic Mass Effect.
Catholic Mass Effect. My son and I were actually talking about this today, and he's like, oh, did you hear that EA is like they got bought and it's basically they're going private? It's like now they don't have to do all these microtransactions. And I'm like, oh, my sweet summer child.
You're gonna learn today.
Yeah. I got to admit, like, I was a huge Need for Speed fan back in the day, but when they started going like full microtransaction heavy, full online play, that kind of stuff, I completely fell off the series. The last thing I probably bought from EA was Dead Space. And then I think I bought a Madden game for my brother-in-law for Christmas or something, but in a lot of ways, this doesn't affect me, but it is still in this age when so many games are getting canceled and so many studios are getting shut down. It's a shame to see so many quality IP get put in these hands.
I mean, it doesn't massively affect your wallet right away, but what it does is it makes it easier for game companies to lean on AI because EA's doing it, right? Yeah. So if EA can get away with it, why can't we?
And Simon says, like Parasite Mutant, which is the Parasite Eve-like indie game that's in development, which is actually, I was trying to find it because I was like, I know that there's one that's coming because somebody saw that Parasite Eve was canceled. Xbox canceled the remake. And so some indie studio said, okay, well, we'll do it. And we'll call it Parasite Mutant.
EA Sports. I was trying to come up with something clever for that, but it's not it.
Where's all the fucking games?
Do you think somebody like Trip Hawkins, who was the founder of EA, do you think he still follows what his old company does? And what do you think his take on it would be?
Yes, I think he probably does. But I also think that he's probably laying on his bed that's just covered in $100 bills, just swimming in it. So he probably doesn't care.
He's like, yeah, it used to not suck.
Right.
Siren says, wait, there was a remake in the works for Parasite Eve? I guess. Sorry to say. It was announced Summer Game Fest in 2024 and then canceled about a year later.
Not so good, Al. All right, next up. Hey, are you made of money? Microsoft sure seems to think so. Today, the company has announced another Xbox Game Pass price hike, with the Ultimate tier increasing 50% to $30 a month. Microsoft is making the price changes as part of a wider claim that it's giving people more than before to help justify the price hike. We know not everyone wants the same thing in their Xbox experience. We're evolving Game Pass to offer more flexibility, choice, and value to all players, Microsoft said. The more being referenced is apparently more day one games than ever before, along with access to Fortnite Crew and Ubisoft Plus classics for the Ultimate tier. Fortnite Crew, which costs $12 a month by itself, gives members the latest Fortnite Battle Pass, along with 1,000 V-Bucks each month, in addition to other benefits. Ubisoft Plus classics, meanwhile, cost $16 a month on its own, and include a variety of Ubisoft games for PC, console, and the cloud. This announcement comes on the heels of Microsoft revealing the prices for its new Xbox Ally handheld gaming consoles. The ROG Xbox Ally has been priced at $599.99 in the US. The ROG Xbox Ally X, an upgraded edition of the console, will cost $1,000. 2 weeks ago, Microsoft also revealed that it is hiking the price of its existing Xbox Series X and S gaming consoles for the second time this year. The Xbox Series X now costs $649.99, a $50 increase this time, which is on top of the $100 price increase already implemented in May of this year.
I can't afford to be an Xbox fan, you guys.
What a strange time to be a gamer. I don't think we've ever had, and I feel free to correct if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever had a console that's been out for several years that has gone up in price over time.
I don't believe we have either.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And I mean, we've been talking about the fact that like Game Pass originally was unsustainable at that price. So, I mean, I get it, but the problem is if you give people what they want for $10 a month and then all of a sudden now it's $30 a month, it's 3 times as expensive. You have priced out quite a lot of your fans. You've taken away the natural appeal of Game Pass. Mm-hmm. So not only you didn't find the happy medium, it's like, let's make Game Pass financially stable, something that is scalable, but no, they hopped the fence and kept going. And so they've basically alienated a large chunk. So with that in mind, we're making consoles more expensive. We're increasing the price and pricing out people out of our marketplace. Doesn't this seem like foreshadowing? I mean, I said it before, just continues to seem like foreshadowing for them to be like, oh, well, look at all the losses we've taken on. Guess we got to close up shop, guys. Sorry.
Let's not proclaim them dead prematurely, because part of what makes all these price increases weird is that Xbox is recording still high profits, record profits. So there's a lot of questions about why do you need to raise prices so much when you're making so much money? And yes, a lot of that is probably due to layoffs, cook the books a little bit, make the profits look good.
Yep.
But if they were losing money hand over fist, a couple of layoffs wouldn't be enough to fix it on the books. So I think that business is still strong. There's still a massively loyal Xbox fan base, especially among the people in the households where you can't afford 2 consoles. So you picked one and you went with Xbox.
Yeah.
So that's kind of your path is chosen for you for the next however long until the next generation, because clearly you can't switch teams because everything just keeps going up.
Yeah. It used to be you'd sell your old console to kind of offset the cost of purchasing the newer console, but now that's not even going to help.
And Tiken says, so I probably end up using my Game Pass like 2 to 3 months a year. I use it heavily those months and play some really big new games. At $20 a month, I kind of felt okay forgetting about it those months I didn't use it. But at $30 a month, this feels like an unsubscribe and resubscribe as necessary type of deal.
Yeah.
And that's like the 50% increase is ridiculous, just looking at it on paper. But still, if you consider the wider environment of what's going on in gaming, where you've got full price AAA games, $80, trying to push their way to $100 if they can. They're not there yet, but they will get there eventually. Still at $30 a month, if you find one game on there that you want to play, you're still making your money back. Unless you're a hardcore indie person who only ever buys things on sale, that is still a better deal for you than it is to buy the games outright.
And I think you're right in that regard. It is a better deal for that. But your average person probably buys, 5 or 6 games a year? I would
Perhaps.
say. Yeah.
That's a complete ballpark. We have no idea.
Right. But what I'm saying is if you were to calculate the price on that, say it's $60 a game, right? At 6 games a year, that's $360. It's the exact same price as you would be paying year round for a $30 Game Pass subscription.
What games are you getting for $60 though these days?
Fair enough. Fair enough. And again, that's average. So if we're talking 5 to 6, 6 is the most, yes. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, I'm saying it depends on how you use it, right?
Right.
I think if you are unsubscribing, resubscribing, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And if you're the crowd that like you're a Fortnite gamer, this is probably a great deal for you because you get Game Pass along with the V-Bucks and the season pass for Fortnite. If you're like, let's say you're a big Rainbow Six Siege person, I mean, why not subscribe for Game Pass instead of doing Ubisoft Plus Ultimate itself, which is $17 by itself? Ubisoft is crazy to charge that much. So yeah, it seems like Microsoft says, we're going to give you more, but we're only going to give you more for like these select groups, and everybody else, you get it whether you want it. It's like the problem with cable all over again.
Yeah, because if I got 1,000 V-Bucks, I would try to figure out a way to
trade
sell
them.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, you can't really do that with like, so eBay used to allow the selling of virtual stuff. I sold my entire Magic the Gathering online collection back in 2010 or something like that, and got a couple $100 for it. But yeah, now I don't believe you can do that at all.
It's funny, you can sell crypto. Not on eBay, of course, but you can sell crypto.
Simon Astor says, what about 2,000 hours of AOL? I saw an article the other day.
On a CD?
that the dial-up service just went out of service.
Just recently
Went out of service.
So the 8 people.
Yeah.
Zach is probably cursing us because that was probably going to be the trivia next week.
There's true.
So are you guys buying this $1,000 Xbox Ally?
No.
I know.
I already have $1,000 PC. What? I don't need the...
Right.
Yeah.
It like exists in this middle ground where you have so much money that you don't want a console, even though they're now $650. But you don't quite have enough money for a fancy PC.
So you're now in the middle.
And if that's your niche right there, well, then have I got the handheld for you?
Do I want to pay way more for a Steam Deck than I need to? I've got the thing for you.
Yeah.
All right, last up, Resident Evil Requiem's devs say they can't tell if the game is actually scary anymore. In an interview at Tokyo Game Show 2025, director Koshi Nakanishi explained the inflation effect of making multiple Resident Evil titles. You have to keep adding more and more action to outdo the previous title, said Nakanishi. And by doing that, you ultimately end up where Resident Evil 5 and 6 went. And although they're still great games, the general consensus is that they push Resident Evil so far in the action direction that it was no longer horror. I didn't want to have to do that with Resident Evil's 9th title, where I just tried to outdo the action in Village and ended up making something I didn't want to make. Firmly swinging the scale toward the Resident Evil 2 style was our intention, and it's almost an upgrade of that Resident 2 style, Nakanishi continued. We've made so many of these that we can't tell if it's scary anymore until someone else plays it. There was actually a bit of worry internally before we showed Resident Evil Requiem hands-off at SGF, and the first hands-on at Gamescom. Was this actually scary? Because we don't even know anymore. This is our bread and butter, what we make every day. And it's that whole, you're a product of your own environment.
I get this is like how Blue must watch horror movies nowadays. She's just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. I've seen it. I've seen somebody get their whole skin ripped off. Like, it's cool. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just numb.
You're so used to it all the time.
Like, I've played horror games that were kind of creepy initially, but they did not change or escalate the scares throughout the entire game. So at the end, the enemies you're facing are the same as at the beginning. And I was like, this is not scary anymore. You have to change it up. And so, yeah, I can completely see this idea of the inflation effect where you just have to keep one-upping what you did the last time. And until eventually it gets ridiculous, which I'm going to go out on a limb and say Resident Evil 5 and 6 were. I know they have their fans, but I hated those games. So I'm glad that this director is recognizing that and they're making conscious decisions not to try to one-up what they've done before, but to go in a different direction, a different approach so that it's still scary.
You either try to one-up it or you make the same game over and over again. It's like the Mega Man effect. I guess.
Right. And that's why horror is such a challenging genre, because not only is what's scary so personalized, but you so quickly become desensitized to it.
Right. Which I think games like, Death by Daylight, by adding new characters and new abilities and stuff like that, they've kept it pretty fresh. But that's just one game that continues to change things from like a live service perspective. So, kudos to them in that regard. But I would imagine if you play it every day, it probably loses its luster.
Yeah, I was playing it every day for there was a while there. It was like every single day.
Were you scared every time you logged in?
Scared? No, not from the stuff that was there, but just the action of being chased. Yeah, I get sweaty and jittery and stuff like that, and it made me feel like I was in an actual horror film. I don't know why. It was like I knew it wasn't real, but like having somebody chase you like that, it really plays on your fear. Like as far as horror movies are concerned, I don't get scared anymore. I know it's all Hollywood fake crap and whatnot. So it's like any movie that comes out, it's like, you're not going to scare me almost, unless it's a jump scare. And I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't see that coming. Where there's like no music buildup or anything like that, and all of a sudden, bam, it's just out of the blue.
I've seen you play jump scare horror
games. Yeah. Oh my God! Now, okay, yeah. If you want to talk about Visage and stuff like that, absolutely, that's different. I'm not talking about movies. Movies don't do anything for me, but games, yes. Love Madison, love Visage. Visage, oh God, I had the fear incarnate in playing that game, where like the hair was standing up on the back of my neck, on my arms. Like it felt like I was going to die. Like I personally felt like I was going to die in that game.
To a little zombie girl.
Yeah, just dancing.
So if you had to make a Visage 2, what would you do?
What would I do?
Mm-hmm. How would you approach that game?
Compound on what they already done, whether it's more jump scares, just the lights, like going into a dark environment, knowing that like either my flashlight or my lighter wasn't working, knowing you were forcing somebody to go into some area where they just like, hey, you got to suck it up and go do it. I'd definitely have more of that.
It would have to be more.
One way
or another.
Yeah.
I think though the consensus for most people is that they're expecting more.
Of course.
You got me good the first time. You got to really up the ante this time.
Now what do you got for me?
Yeah,
right.
I'm ready for your same old tricks. So
right.
It's like Ninja Turtles 1, 2, and 3. 3 really up the ante. There's time travel.
How far can you up the ante before you jump the shark?
That's it. That's kind of what my point is how far can you go before it just becomes completely detached from the original meaning of it. To your point about 5 and 6 being absolutely ridiculous, that's it. It became more of an action-based game, right, than it did a horror game. Right? You've completely moved away from what made the first 2 Resident Evils so entertaining, so fun.
Yeah, controls.
Yep.
That's what made it so fun.
That's it. We're going back to tank controls.
That would be such a troll, and I would love it.
Ducks in Disguise says, I'm late. We talking Resident Evil? In Resident Evil 6, Leon can sit crawl, and he looks like a dog scooting ass on the carpet.
Man, these hemorrhoids really bother me.
So this is what we want to avoid at all costs. No more dog scooting on the carpet, Leon. Look what they did to my boy.
Bad Leon. Bad Leon. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our top 3 new releases for the week.
First up is Lego Party, out on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Lego Party is a 4-player party game that's built different. Compete against your friends in wacky challenge zones and 60 hilarious minigames from across your favorite Lego sets like Lego Pirates, Lego Space, Lego Ninjago, and more. Join your friends online no matter their platform, or get together for a Lego Party game night. With multiple game modes and tons of minifigures to unlock, you'll have all the bricks to build the ultimate party. Next is Nicktoons and the Dice of Destiny, out on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC. Bring iconic Nickelodeon heroes into a world of fantasy and real-time RPG action. Throw the dice and dive into a wild, action-packed adventure with SpongeBob, Katara, Leonardo, and others. Featuring epic battles and dynamic environments, it's an engaging gameplay experience for players of all ages. And lastly, Ghost of Yotei, out on PS5. In this follow-up to Ghost of Tsushima, the 2020 Game of the Year, journey with Atsu in this unique story of healing and redemption that runs deeper than vengeance. Atsu's path across Ezo is one of your own making. Unlock new weapons by training under Master Warriors, then upgrade your skills at altars of reflection scattered across the land. Each weapon serves a specific purpose, and knowing when to switch will determine your success in combat. I feel like there's a lot going on while I'm reading.
Now you know how I feel sometimes.
So there was a typo. Instead of butt scooch, there was butt scotch.
Oh,
And so that just evolved.
do not order me any butt scotch.
Yes, I'll have you find us butt scotch.
Would you like a
The
single
aroma.
polyp or a double polyp?
Of the butt scotch. Quite nutty. So, out of these wonderful new releases, what are you in for, Ryan?
So, Nicktoons, the Dice of Destiny. What in the Kingdom Hearts crap is this?
Hey now, that's a little bit uncalled for. Remember what they did with Nickelodeon Cart. This is
Sure.
Nickelodeon shtick.
We'll go with that. But if you're going to have Nicktoons too, like Ren and Stimpy?
Are they relevant? Would kids today know who they
I
are?
don't care.
You're not the target audience.
I want my Ren and Stimpy RPG, goddammit.
You idiot!
Right? Come on, that would be fantastic. Oh my god. So yeah, I hate Kingdom Hearts, and I'm gonna hate this. So I'm gonna pass on Nicktoons, the Dice of Destiny. Lego Party. Let's copy Nintendo's homework, like everybody else seems to be doing. Garfield Kart and all that good stuff. Didn't add anything to the formula for me for that improved upon the Mario Party universe. So I mean, if like everyone bought it and was playing it, I might be maybe get the FOMO, but no, I'm not like voluntarily buying this. Ghost of Yotei? Hell yes. I am so glad it's finally here. This is going to be one of those games that I think will probably capture me for a while, similar to what Baldur's Gate 3 did. And it is going to look great on the PS5. It is going to have all the ray tracing and the tracing of the rays. And it's going to look chef's kiss. I can't wait to play this. This is so exciting.
All right. What about you, Donnie?
There's no unnecessary rambling this week. Ghost of Yotei. Hands down.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough.
That's what I'm picking.
Man, a few words.
Zach says, so sorry, you guys. I slept right through my alarm.
Womp, 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 womp.
Listeners should note that Ryan is holding up a finger just for Zach.
Which finger?
You can choose your own finger in your mind. Tiken says the answer is to delay Ghost of Yotei 2 weeks so everyone can finish Silksong, Hades 2, and Final Fantasy Tactics.
Ooh.
And, you know, honestly, that's kind of where I'm at because I realized today is the first Ghost of Yotei releases tomorrow. And I had this like moment of first world panic because I don't have time to play Ghost of Yotei. I am still neck deep in Silksong with no end in sight. There's still so much to do. That game is huge. Haven't even finished regular Hades, let alone Hades 2. And now here's Ghost of Yotei. It's like, I don't have enough free time for all of this.
You know, I will say, let's not complain about that because there have definitely been lulls in our gaming lives. So
Yeah. There sometimes for weeks and weeks on end, you're like, is this it?
Feast and famine. So I will take feast weeks.
Right. Lego Party, I have heard, is actually really fun. And is said that it goes way harder than Mario Party, which I believe because Mario Party has been playing with kid gloves since it left the GameCube. And now it's more like a everybody wins kind of a situation. No, if I'm going to play a party game, I want to destroy my friends to where we're no longer friends. So that is something I would consider based on a price.
Less goldfish, more Uno.
Nicktoons and the Dice of Destiny. I am not getting how this is any way, shape, or form like Kingdom Hearts, just because it has a collaboration of Nickelodeon characters in it. Because
you laughed right away, so you got it. You understood.
I laughed because it makes sense with what you think Kingdom Hearts is. But this is Nickelodeon shtick. They make games and they put like their whole portfolio, shove it in the game. Let's make it work. It looks boring as hell, though. I'm going to be honest. It does. It looks like an RPG meant for kids. And
so again, Kingdom Hearts.
Dabbing in on all sorts of other really relevant, cool reactions going on here.
Dab?
He totally did dab. Hello, fellow kids. But yeah, I pre-ordered Ghost of Yote months ago. That's been my choice long before we recorded tonight.
Nice. Get like the super deluxe mega edition?
No, I'm poor. I just got the regular one. I told you already. I'm too poor to play on Xbox. That's why I play on PlayStation and Nintendo.
I never thought like PlayStation would be the budget gamers system.
Gamer friendly. Yeah.
Or that PlayStation prices would become the new budget price.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
It's like the new McDonald's campaign where like, we're bringing value back. And then they're bragging that the Big Mac meal is $8.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That's not something to brag about.
Value meals are back. This is $15. What? All right.
Oh, sorry. We meant value for us. Was that not clear?
Yeah.
Right. All right, so before we move on, let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsor. This segment is proudly sponsored by the Retro Game Club podcast. It's a fantastic family-friendly retro gaming podcast. In each episode, Rob and guest pick 2 games to play and discuss, as well as news, interviews, and other topics. This week, they'll be playing through Chips Challenge and Rolling Thunder. Visit retrogameclub.net or follow the link in the show notes. Love me some Chips Challenge.
Rolling Thunder, wasn't that one of the Tengen carts?
Yeah, actually, I think it was. Now that you mention him.
Chips Challenge would be one of those games where if I was playing through, the game goes on mute.
Yeah.
Spotify goes up, game goes on mute.
Yeah.
Yep. That is horrendous. The background music of Chips Challenge.
Just looping for hours and hours and hours.
Rolling Thunder. Yeah, it's an arcade game. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yep.
So I had played this for the first time in the arcade a couple of years ago in Branson, Missouri. There was like a retro Back to the Future style place where, it's a tour. Branson is a tourist trap. And this place was definitely a tourist trap. It was like $15 to get in. And they had like maybe 15, 20 games to play. It sucked. But one of them was Rolling Thunder. And I ended up getting the high score on Rolling Thunder that I posted on Twitter. I have to go back and check that. But yeah, it just stoked a memory. Huh.
It's funny because when I think of known tourist traps, Branson, Missouri is not in the top 10 of my list.
It would be if you were in the Midwest, man.
Right.
Tell you what.
Country music and souvenir shops.
Yes.
It's
all
like
of that.
I mean, it's Missouri's Pigeon Forge, more or less.
Yeah, or the Wisconsin Dells.
There you go.
What?
You've never heard of the Dells?
No. Or Pigeon Forge.
Forge.
You need to get out more.
See?
Pigeon Forge is in Tennessee, and it's where Dollywood is.
Tennessee.
You're right. I should know these places. They are culturally significant.
Okay, and your point being? You're speaking the truth.
I was agreeing with you. There was no sarcasm. I was agreeing with
I was
you.
like, yeah, no sarcasm. Mm-hmm.
Duck says no. No one ever needs to go to Wisconsin. I lived there for like 3 decades.
I will go there one day for one purpose, and that is to visit Lambeau Field. That is the only place I will go, and then I will leave.
Well, before you go there, you can actually have the best beer in Milwaukee. It's called Milwaukee's Best.
No.
Just prove it. It's right on the label, man.
No. They wouldn't put it on the label if it wasn't true. Milwaukee's Best Light, maybe the Beast, but not regular Milwaukee's Best.
God.
Regular old Milwaukee? No. No.
Gut rot.
No. Yes. Milwaukee's Best will make you
It's a nice laxative, right?
So if you have a colonoscopy in Milwaukee, that's what they give you.
Yeah, that's the old Milwaukee colonoscopy.
You don't need barium. Here, pop one of these. All right. Well, thank you for coming, students. Welcome back to Professor Rybread's Not So Gaming History 101. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about a company who was at one point considered to be one of the best electronics manufacturers in the world. And through some choices that they have made over time, pretty much no longer exists today. You may know them as RCA.
Oh, yes. With the dog and the phone thing, whatever it's called. Phonograph. Gramophone. Never mind.
Grandma's phone.
Grandma's phone.
With grandma's phone.
Hello? So, what's interesting about RCA is, of course, it's been a company that's been around since like 1910, right? It's the Radio Corporation of America, right? That's what RCA stands for. And so they really, of course, got their start in the consumer electronics business with the advent of radio, right? It was a big part of how they got radio into every household in, well, not every household, but most households in America. It was cheap and affordable for most people over time. So RCA built up this really renowned reputation. When I think of RCA, though, growing up, we had an RCA television, one of those like wood surrounded CRT televisions with RCA at the bottom, right? And I think folks from our generation, that's what we mostly associate RCA with, is TVs and maybe camcorders and stuff like that. But it's mostly TVs. I was curious, do you guys have any other associations with RCA?
Well, Ducks in Disguise says, oh, RCA, man, my first ever video camera I had was an RCA VHS camcorder. Battery lasted like 10 minutes. It was glorious. 10 perfect, magical minutes.
Yeah, and it was the size of like a car battery.
Yeah, you get your workout carrying that around. And Zach says, I'm a big fan of their plugs.
Yeah.
I know what I said. Yeah.
RCA plugs. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay. I get it now. It took me a second. Yep. No, I TVs, but yeah, I think my grandparents, even my parents had one of those big, and I couldn't tell you if it was a Panasonic, if it was an RCA. I'm pretty sure it was an RCA camcorder.
Yep. So I do want to jump forward, though. I don't want to do like the whole history of RCA, because I think it's the most relevant thing that we can talk about has to do with at least a personal experience that I've had with some of its media format. And I just wanted to deep dive into that media format, like how it works and how it was the downfall of RCA. So naturally, they were kind of the company that was going to be innovating on behalf of the marketplace. Well, innovation's great, but you need to be first to market. And that'll be a little bit foreshadowing as we go along, right? But in the mid-'60s, we'll say RCA began working on a project that they would believe would define the future of home entertainment. Engineers at the company imagined a world where movies could be played at home on a disc, much like vinyl records that filled living rooms across America. They called it the capacitance electronic disc, or CED. And at first, the idea seemed like a next natural step after phonograph records. A stylus tracing grooves on a vinyl-like disc, only this time reproducing not just sound, but full motion video. So the question is, how did it work? Well, the CED, which looks dead on like a vinyl, right? If I were to hand you one, if you weren't like holding it up to the light to see that it shines and has kind of an iridescence to it, you would guess it's a vinyl right off the bat, right? It's 12 inches across, just like it. But instead of grooves for sound waves, it had tiny spiral grooves, only 1 or so microns wide, filled with ridges that essentially represented information. So to give you context, like how big is a micron? Yes. Lou,
actually, I was going to ask if you had a way to visually demonstrate for us the width of a micron.
I feel like this was a dick joke. Well played. Well played.
An honest question.
You got me good. I don't even know.
The Voldemort.
Well, the example I was going to give is that a micron is the same width as an E. coli bacteria, and you can fit 1 million E. coli bacteria on the tip of a pencil. So there you go, you asshole.
Ducks in the Sky says 4 micros is plenty. Am I right, Phyllis? Am I right? It's an absolute win.
So what I was hearing about how this actually does do video, like my first thought was like, that's crazy, because you would think the groups, when you look at a vinyl record, right, it's like it's obvious if you look further down into the little ridges that there's bumps and stuff. And so it's easy to see what the stylus is doing, right? But if we're talking about on like the level of microns, right, and how small that is, if you think about it, it's like I said, like 1 million, maybe more than that, can fit on the tip of a pencil. All of a sudden, it makes sense how it's able to read that information and paint a picture, as in ones and zeros, like we do with images today on a computer, right? So that's, to me, though, it's crazy that that's the route that they took. They said, okay, you know what? We're going to go down to that level, microscopic changes in our little records in order to produce video. So the way it worked is that it dropped a diamond stylus. So in each one of your players for CEDs, there's a little bit of diamond in there. I don't know if you want to get rich, but and it rode along those microscopic ridges, and rather than it moving the stylus mechanically like you would see on a vinyl record, it changed the capacitance between the surface. So if you think about it, it's like the electric charge, right? So if there was a distance of this height versus a distance of this height, you're going to be able to conduct more electricity versus this height, you're not going to. So think about that as like ones and zeros. So realistically, what that would do is just provide some additional information to the system as to what to expect, right? So it was actually able to pump out 60 fields of video per second and stereo sound. And they were working on this in the 60s. So that to me is insane, right?
Sounds very expensive.
Yeah, and I think what we'll see is that was some of the problems that they ran into, right? But you know, the raw signal was, of course, sent from the disc to the player. Player would like decode it and then turn it into a television picture. And all you had to do as a consumer is just turn it on, and supposedly it's going to work, right? So you don't have to worry about any of that kind of crap. You just put the disc in, and winner, chicken dinner, you got yourself a movie at home, which up until that point, I think, you know, it was like 16 millimeter film projectors and 8 millimeter film projectors was your only choice for that. And that was people who were rich could afford to do that.
Not so who could afford this thing?
Exactly. Well, that's kind of the idea, is that they were trying to mass produce this to make it more affordable. We'll see how they did. But the idea was to try to balance between affordability and quality, right? And at first, it seems like on paper, it's a great idea, right? You can have this thing that you can play at home, get all the movies you want. You'll be able to watch, Hello Dolly right from your tube TV back in the day.
Man, you know me.
The only problem that they ran into with the player is that the discs themselves are really sensitive because you're working on a micron level, right? The difference between those two plates, if you will, so the stylus and the actual grooves, really changes up the value. So if you get something in one of those grooves, it's going to fuck up everything. And if you think about it, I talked about a piece of dust, we usually think of a piece of dust as being very small, but we talked about also that it's down to the micron level. So actually a piece of dust becomes huge at that point in order to, huge. The dust over here is huge. And not only that is that when the dust gets in there, if there's any moisture in the air, the dust can become caked to the grooves as well. So all of a sudden,
there's no coming back from that.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. It's ruined. Also, if you touch it with your fingers, you have natural oils in your fingers that fills in the grooves. It's screwed, right? So because of that, they really struggled to try to turn this into a viable option, right? At first, they could only really do about 30 minutes of video per side. So that didn't really make sense for movies. Eventually, they were able to compound that and kind of bring it down to a smaller value so that it was 60 minutes per side, which that'll work. Just, of course, requires you to flip it, which was actually what Laserdiscs did back in the day as well, before they made players that manually flipped it for you. So not like a deal breaker in that sense. But what they did is they put them into like these plastic caddies to protect the discs, which in itself is an inherent problem as well. The caddies had a tendency to break if not handled properly or shoved in a little bit harder than it needed to be. So you slide out the disc and then all of a sudden you can't use it anymore because you were a little bit more aggressive than you needed to be with the actual caddy itself. And so you would pay all this money for one of those movies and then it's and you can't watch it again. There's no way to repair it. So a lot of problems they ran into. And what that ended up doing is turning from a few years of development to almost 2 decades of development.
Wow.
Right. So we were talking mid-60s, and they officially were able to release the RCA Select Division, which was their player for it, in 1981. Now, the problem with that is 1981 rolls around. Exactly. It's kind of like a UMD. Yep. You got it.
Nice, Dux.
Yeah. And so the issue you ran into, though, is in 1981, what was already out? Betamax, VHS, Laserdisc, right? Now, if you're talking about high quality video and sound, you probably are going to pick up a Laserdisc, right? So it's the top tier. Mm-hmm. If you're talking about the ability to record and inexpensive as far as movies, you're probably going to go VHS Betamax. But like the CEDs were in the middle. They weren't as good quality as the Laserdiscs were, and they weren't as inexpensive as the Betamax and VHS, and plus you couldn't record on them. So it sat in this ugly middle that basically no one wanted. It had the worst qualities of the two, right? So if I'm choosing what I want my home entertainment to be, why would I choose the worst of all of the choices that I have out there? Mm-hmm. So it's almost like it wasn't solving for anybody's desires.
But they spent 2 decades on it, so we got to sell it.
2 decades, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in today's money on this as an investment. Because they predicted that it was going to be 50% of households were going to have a Select Division at some point.
That's also a stupid name.
I agree.
That sounds like a 60s name that was still trying to make something of itself in the 80s.
I will say it is very 80s though. It is covered in wood laminate. Right. And it's got these red like LCD lights on the front of it. It's pretty very 80s vibe to it. Right. Mm. So they launched this thing, doesn't really do well, and they have to like try to market it. Right. So they're putting in all these advertisements out there. So we're upping in budget again, not just from research and development and production, but all of a sudden we're throwing more money into marketing for this. And that got to the point in like 82. So it's been out for a year. They're offering free movies every time you buy one of these Select Division things already, right? They are offering massive discounts on the Select Division itself. So you could probably get one, right, for half the price and get a free or a couple of free movies with it. Like that would be enticing to me. I'd be like, all right. But no one bought it. And so they were anticipating, we think about it at the time, right, from the population of the United States, about 200 million people. So they were expecting 50 million of these to sell. I tried to find like what was the actual number of these sold.
5.
No, it was dozens of people.
There's dozens of us. Yes. Between 1981 and 1984, it was about 500,000 sold. So 10% of what they expected. Needless to say, it was a crash and burn.
Isn't that 1%?
Carry the 2.
You're right. It is 1%. You're right. So not even 10%. You're right. It is 1%. Good call. Look at that. Even worse. You have made the point and hammered it home even better. 1%, essentially. I mean, Concord, I think, sold more than that.
And was only in development for 8 years, which sounds like a bargain now.
Right. So RCA scuttled this whole thing in 1984. Said we're not producing these anymore. They were still making discs until 1986, which is when they stopped. I looked up how many titles were ever made for it, and individual titles, not like widescreen versus blah, 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 of the same title. It's about 600 in total for different things that were made on it. There were a handful of CED only as well. So that were specifically made. A lot of them were RCA related titles as well. So there are some out there that you can only get and play on a CED prior to streaming and all those things being a thing.
See, Rambowski is just in the chat asking if they're still in the field or somewhere. Ryan has one.
Mm-hmm. I do have one.
Did you bring it for right show and tell?
I can't unplug it because it took me so long to plug it in. So just looked up 1981 Select Division, and you shall see this thing. And it is a beast. Your VHS player is usually about that big. It is about that thick. This thing's that thick and about that wide. Right? So
it's the first time Ryan's ever done that with his hands to demonstrate a size.
2 in a row. 2 in the same segment.
Zing!
I'm sorry. If you're softballing them up there, it would be rude not to take them.
Balls.
Balls.
So to kind of wrap things up, I mean, this also led to the downfall of RCA. And eventually they were purchased by General Electric, right, in 1986. So they were actually acquired. So this led to them being bought out, more or less. So this went from being one of the most dominant electronics manufacturers in the world to essentially having to sell off their business. Only 5 years after they released this thing. While I can't say it is the only reason that RCA failed, I will say it's probably a big chunk of the reason as to why RCA is really no longer a thing. Before I got into Laserdisc collecting, I actually didn't even know this thing existed. So I think it's kind of cool to know that there were other formats out there that people didn't really engage in or know about. There's a wide collectors community who still collect CEDs. And so I thought it would be kind of cool to have one. Out of the 10 CEDs I own, 3 of them work. So
That many, huh?
Yeah. So we're at a good 30%. Checking the math. Yep, that is 30%. So I just think it's a unique novelty. It's an interesting way that a company kind of, or at least interesting tale, at least how a company poured a lot of resources into something, but because they weren't really first to market, they lost on the opportunity to really grab the marketplace, and then they ended up producing something that nobody wants.
It's a lot of that going around these days.
Touche. So thank you for coming to another Professor Rybread's Not So Gaming History 101. If you have a story that you would like to share with us, please email us at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com, and we might feature your suggestion.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. I think that about does it for this episode. So let's go ahead and wrap things up. Thank you for listening to episode 185 of Gamers Week Podcast. And a big thank you to the Retro Game Club Podcast, Love Retro BTW, Pixel Pond Production Company, and absolutely the best podcast, A Work in Progress, for sponsoring this episode. Don't forget to check out their links in the show notes. If you want to connect with Gamers Week, follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky at Gamers Week PC. Watch us right here on Twitch at twitch.tv/Gamers Week Podcast, where we will record live every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. You can email us at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com. Visit our merch store at gamers-week-podcast.creator-spring.com. Or if you want to do it the easy way, follow the link in the show notes. And last but not least, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/gamersweek. And finally, since you made it all the way to the end of the episode, please leave us a rating and a review to let us know how we did. We really do value your feedback. And while you're there, consider subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice. And all of those links I just gave you are way easier to access than Microsoft's cancel subscription right now.
Yes, the page where you go to cancel Game Pass has reportedly been down all day.
It's got a button that if you put your mouse over it, it jumps.
Yeah. It's like you can't exactly get it to go.
Oh, yeah. Whether that's purposeful or not, we don't dare say.
No, we do not dare say. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for staying with us tonight. Definitely, obviously, we will be back next Wednesday with another live recording. And then in 2 weeks, we will be taking a vacation because we will be at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. With that being said, have a good night. Take care. And we will talk to you next week.
Bye.
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 Where can you find? You can't even find that stuff anywhere down here. Like at least in St. Louis, if I'm going to my grocer's beer section or alcohol section, no, I'm not seeing Old Milwaukee. I'm not seeing Milwaukee's Best. I haven't seen that in decades.
I bet you if you go to your Walmart right now, it's there.
I will go there tomorrow and I will show you that there's no Milwaukee's Best or Old Milwaukee.
Ask them if they have it in the back.
It's good.
It's like, excuse me, do you have any Old Milwaukee in the back? Along with a pair of slacks?
No. Dress trousers.
With some dress trousers? Trousers? Who are you?
I'm planning on putting this in my ice chest.
And my slacks and my credenza. Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits. This is the unscripted, patron-only bonus cast with less editing and more dirty jokes. We don't know where the conversation will go, but we're sure it will be weird.
This fish just went right on my nipple, and I'm just like,
I Google Street Fighter 6. The first search result that comes up is people think they can see Ryu's dick in the Street Fighter 6 reveal.
Listen up here, kids. You're not going to want to get one of those VDSTDs things, right? Make it fall off. When you go, grab a pro. You'll be doing it for America.
that was perfect.
If you want to hear weekly episodes of our patron-only bonus cast, join us at patreon.com/gamersweek.